Hello, this is Benny, and I'm here to discuss what I think is a possible flaw in the new CZ Shadow 2 carry gun. I watched some of the other videos. As you can tell, I'm a CZ fan, and I saw the videos. I was interested in the new gun that came out and its development in the last couple iterations. They recently went with a firing pin block to make it drop safe, and they put the red dot cut in it. Lots of new things. As you know, you can watch those videos. But I thought watching the two initial videos, one by Honest Outlaw, my fellow Iowan out there, I think in the Ames area, and Such, just seeing the guns, watching people shoot them, what's going on. I thought I noticed something that I thought was kind of sad, and that this is a CZ75 P01 Omega, as you can tell, and it puts the decocker with the lever towards the front of the gun. On the new model, they have an old lever, which is back here, which the P01 had. And at about the 620 mark in Honest Outlaw's video, you can see him discussing how that he has to change his thumb position a little bit, which, can be learned, is not a big deal, as he says. But different hand sizes could be an issue, having that when you want to ride it high like that. If it's back here, it'd be back against just under your joint there on my hand, which is the main reason why I went with the Omega, because of this decocker, which you could change it and make it a single action, I believe was the other plus with this model, which I think that pin back there is where it would go. But it was kind of sad to see that on a CZ, knowing that most people, I think, take a high thumb over grip on their guns. Now, it looks like, I think you would have to be something like this on the gun to, be comfortable with it. I haven't put it in my hands. I haven't seen one yet. It was just something that I noticed for, everybody was very excited about the gun to come out, I believe, CZ fans. And to see that when it was simply to change the position of that decocker pad and make it more, safe. These are all safe. The guns you'll see here are safe. They have snap caps in them. So, actually the device, you thumb over and it's just easy to decock, depending on the position your hand is in. It's just easier. The way Honest Outlaw does it in his video, he does it really quick. He has bigger hands than I do, I think, but he still has to roll. You see the gap between the back of the gun and where he swipes with his thumb to decock it at the back. I think he catches it fairly high in here. So I assume that there's not that much resistance, and I could be wrong there as well, on it. So maybe it's just a nice and smooth action. But I think at one point he does mention that it seems kind of stiff. And I thought, well, if the pad was more forward, like on this model here, it's just your thumb wants to push down. That's the joint works that way. It wants to push down on that lever. So to see it back here and having to transition or change your hand, it reminded me of people trying to get rid of, their mags, and however their hand was on the particular firearm, if they could reach the button, or they had to change their hand position to drop the magazine quickly. So that was the first and the biggest thing that I saw in the new gun that I thought possibly could be a flaw. The one thing that's always gotten me about CZ and SIG as well is the decocker position. It's basically at a half cock, and something that I always thought was interesting. I thought that should try to be overcome, because Ernest Langdon had pointed it out many years ago that this gap, whether it's happened or not, I have no idea, leaves a possibility open that something could get back in here and either dirty it up, jam up the gun, and not allow you for it to function correctly, even off of a double action pull, because something could be in there. Whereas many of you probably know that the Beretta, when it decocks, it goes all the way down to the firing pin. So nothing can get in behind the hammer and cause any problems there. In the quick draw type situation, you're not, off of a decock. I always thought that was interesting that both SIG and CZ allow for that gap on both of their decockers that I've ever seen. The 220 that I used to have and this one, they had a I think it was a 220. Anyway, they had that gap, which I always thought was interesting. The next big thing with the new gun that I thought was interesting, they put everything else on it was great. You know, the RMR cut, the red dot, the better checkering than this model has even. It looks like it's possibly a little bit bigger than this. But the way the trend is going in firearms, especially handguns, it's porting. And in 9mm, porting a 9mm makes it, you know, the 2011 market is huge on that, and many other people are doing that on other firearms. Smith & Wesson has done it. And I've shot a couple different models that have been ported, and 9mm, as easy as it is to shoot, is even easier with porting. So I would have thought CZ would have covered all the bases and put that porting in that new model, and had a dead ringer for the champion, basically. I mean, in 9mm, without getting into a caliber argument or anything like that. I think shooting CZs with their low slide, and they're reliable, they work, the contour, you know, based off of, I believe, the high power type of idea with the beaver tail, the grip. I guess it is more 1911 than high power, but the idea that frame, that size, it fits your hand really, really well. But seeing that decocker was in the position it was, and the lack of porting, I thought were the two major ones. But definitely where that pad is, you know, you look at 1911, and that's how I learned about it a long time ago. Was, you know, you're carrying it this manner, and you push the safety down, and you leave your thumb there, which then allowed you, as my instructors talk, to thumb over, and that's how you know, you lock in. That became a habit. Now, many handguns, as I'm sure you know, you adapt to the gun, you know, your pocketbook or your choice otherwise, and you can adapt and overcome that. You could drop it down, you could cup your thumb like that. But I thought, you know, for the amount of time and money that gets put into these firearms, to see them come out with something maybe insignificant, but I thought that's too bad in a way. I thought it was a flaw. I hope that they get that in the next one, and maybe get those ports up front. It would be interesting to see that if it develops in that way, or if maybe they choose not to. But maybe the marketplace will deem it, you know, that's what the people want. Maybe I'm wrong on all these points. Give me your thoughts. You're in the comments. Let me know what you think. It was just an observation. Like I said, I haven't put the gun in my hands. I just have this one CZ right now in my possession, but it was very similar, and I thought I'd note it just looking at other things on those videos. And I thought, well, I'm gonna make a video and see what other people think. So put your comments down below, like and subscribe, and we'll go off the air, I guess. That was all I had to say. What do you think about that, Penelope?
That's right, Benny.